Welcome to Industry Gossip. My name is Manish Kata, and with me I have CMO Christopher Norton. It's been a long time, sir.
It's been a minute. Let's get to some gossip.
Let's do it.
All right. First up, Goldman Sachs has decided to backtrack on their return to office as Omicron surges. Underrated or overrated?
Yeah, all of this news continues to be completely overrated. I think the world in general has had enough of these gray hair suits coming out with their demands to come back to the office. No one wants to go back to your fucking office. The cat is out of the bag. People are done with it. It's been 2 years. The world has been functioning, at least for financial services firms. And it just doesn't matter what they say anymore. And what's going to happen, based on at least the interviews we're having with people, is the second they actually force this, I think people are going to flee left and right.
All right. Next up, WisdomTree and Ritholtz has decided to partner to launch a crypto index. Underrated or overrated?
Two parts of this answer. I still think crypto for financial advisors is massively overrated. I know there's a lot of noise out there, and I'm not saying crypto itself is, but for financial advisors, I still think it's just so far behind. You know, even with jumping through all the regulation hoops and getting it ready for your clients, and then I'm hearing people put 1%, 2%, 3% into it. I just don't see the point of having to deal with all this. If you really want that much juice, just buy a levered index or something. I just think it's overrated. It still continues to be overrated from the financial advisor standpoint. However, I will say that this news itself, in terms of this SMA, is underrated. And the reason being is it's finally coming to some sort of format that financial advisors can consume. You know, we're used to model portfolios on platforms and SMAs, and when it's placed in that format, it does help alleviate concerns in terms of regulations and E&O and some of the legal concerns. And I think it's going to give advisors more access to that. So the news of it being in the SMA is underrated. I think you'll see more adoption this way versus the first couple ways it was rolled out in terms of like a futures mutual fund or whatnot. So a little bit of both here.
All right, I'm going to admit I struggled with this one. Advisors are finding shelter from vaccine mandates at a Christian RIA. Underrated or overrated?
I mean, this is so overrated for a lot of reasons. You know, when you switch firms, there's a lot that goes into it, right? There's a checklist of things because you're doing this not only for your business, but for the best interest of your clients. So I think the SEC is going to have a lot of problems when they come knock on your door and you tell them that you switched your entire client book based on vaccine mandates. That may or may not be in existence when, 6 months from now, we don't know. And so I part of me is kind of weirded out that this was even an article. And all they did by participating in this article is literally send an email to the SEC saying, please come visit us because we upended our business and our clients over a vaccine mandate.
This may be industry gossip, but I'm glad you answered the question and not me.
Me too.
Moving right along, Skience has decided to partner with Incedo to bring RIAs a one-stop wealth management solution. I've never heard this idea before. Underrated or overrated?
This is slightly overrated. I mean, kudos at least that people are still trying. We're in the process of doing the same thing, and it's difficult. And the reason being is no matter what you create, it still ends at the custodian. And when it ends at the custodian, you really have one of two ways to complete that process, either through your own version of DocuSign or building pipes directly into their system to open the account. So yes, you have control on the onboarding side of it, but when you start working with all these tools, it just doesn't work. And so, there are firms out there, shout out to friend of the firm, Judd Mackerel, who's doing things where, you're consuming all your data, right? You're taking all your data from all these tools, putting it into your own app and your own UI and controlling how you then execute on that. I wish them luck. I think overall, from what I've heard, the tool is well received, at least the original Skience. And we'll see how it plays out. Some of these, press releases, they're kind of 30,000 foot. You really don't get any details. So, I think as of now, I would say it's a little overrated until we see some details on how this is actually going to be executed, because I've heard this before, 20 times at least.
All right, last one for this outing. Facet Wealth has secured $100 million in Series C fundraising. Underrated or overrated?
I think this is underrated. First of all, that's a massive amount of money. I think total 165 since 2016 is what I read that this firm has raised. The reason it's underrated is because there's a lot of advisors out there, particularly younger advisors over the past 5 or 10 years, that have been screaming about financial planning and subscription. Now, they have been alone on this island for a long time screaming this. And as it starts to take adoption, someone like Facet's coming in with a really large checkbook ready to apply this concept across the country. And I think a lot of these financial planners are now going to be faced with a ton of competition. These guys know how to market. They know how to digital market. And they're going to really attack the base, right? The consumer base. So I think it's underrated. I think that if you've been harping on a subscription financial planning and that's been your only real ploy out there, you're gonna hit this competition head on. So we'll see what happens. That kind of money, hopefully just doesn't go to waste. But knowing the firm, they're a local firm, at least to me. I think they're gonna make some noise with this.
It's going to be interesting to continue to watch how they develop. That will do it for this episode of Industry Gossip. Join us in February, where I replace my coffee with bourbon.
See ya.